A piece of wood, soft enough that you can cut it with almost anything, and a knife. That's all you need to start whittling. Okay, there's a few more things you should know. What is soft enough wood? The most asked question I get in the comments must be what kind of wood I use. I use a lot of European aspen, and while that is a good option, there are many others too. The availability of different types of wood varies greatly based on where you live. Unless you're buying ready-made whittling blocks, it can be difficult to evaluate the softness of different types of wood. It might also be difficult to recognize different types of wood, in which case, knowing what tree species are good doesn't really help. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it helps if you're using wood that you can cut with almost anything. Here's what I mean by that. Take a piece of wood and try to cut it with the fingernail of your thumb. If you're able to leave a significant mark, that's soft enough wood. The bigger the mark, the softer the wood. And if you can barely make any kind of mark, it's going to be a lot more demanding to carve. Of course, there are also great uses for harder types of wood, so if you want a video on that, let me know in the comments. My personal opinion is that if you manage to get your hands on some type of soft enough wood, most of your problems are already solved. I'll get back to this in a little bit. The next thing is the knife. If you have a knife, even if it's not perfect, I suggest starting with that. Make a simple project and see if whittling is something that you actually want to invest in. Trust me, you don't need the best equipment, especially not right away. As long as a knife feels controllable and is somewhat sharp, it can be used in at least a few simple projects. Like I said, wood that you can cut with almost anything solves most of your problems and makes whittling much easier and more accessible, even if you can't afford buying a fancy carving knife. Here's the proof. This is a paring knife used for chopping vegetables, and it cost about 4 or 5 euros. That was about 5 years ago, and I don't know if this has ever been sharpened. It's pretty dull, as you can see. Even with this, I'm able to cut this piece of aspen. This means that basically any knife made for cutting wood should be fine with the right kind of wood. My only recommendation is that if you don't have a knife already, buy one that has a blade that's somewhat thin and about 3.5 to 5 centimeters in length, preferably on the shorter side. Now, all you need is a project. Click on this to check out one of the easiest whittling projects to start with.